Wait right there. This is the second episode of 2, where we meet a bartender at the top of everyone's game. So if you want to hear the first part of his journey, stop and go back to the previous episode. Oh, did I mention Erik Lorincz is that bartender? I'm Susan Schwartz, your drinking companion, and this is Lush Life Podcast. Every week we are inspired to live life one cocktail at a time by the best in the industry. So, we left Erik at the doors of the Connaught Hotel, wondering whether he would take the leap. As history shows, we know he did, and from there his career skyrocketed into the stratosphere, landing him where he is now, proud owner of his own bar, Kwant. Let's join him where we left off. Now, you had said that you had known him from Montgomery Place. How well did you know him?
That's right. So basically when the Montgomery Place opened, that was kind of like a first street bars, which is not a speakeasy, that you could walk in and you could see real modern bartending. And obviously Agostino was a part of the opening team there, and when I've heard about it, I straight away went there after when they opened it. So I become kind of regular guest there, and that's how we become friends from there. And I took Marian Becker there as well. I showed him when the bars open, so he loved that too, and he ended up actually working there as well. And we just become friends with Agostino, and that was a moment when actually our path crossed at the Connaught.
And when you heard that he was potentially the head bartender there, what went through your mind?
I was like, yes, this is exactly what I want to do. Oh my God, this is incredible that Agostino's going to be there, and it's a new opening. It's a hotel bar in a beautiful Mayfair on a Carlos Place. Couldn't imagine for more. It's like playing a football with Massi.
But he wasn't yet secure.
He wasn't, yes, because he was negotiating the contract quite a long time. So I approached the hotel. So I went to interview. They were hiring because they were looking for staff. Had a first interview, then I had my second interview, and all went very well. So after third interview, they offered me the contract. And that time I was already in a close contact with Agostino. So I was like, Ago, how is he going with you? Because...
So you were allowed to talk to him about it?
After that, yes. Yeah, after that. After third interview, they told me, they showed me the bar. Because first they didn't even want to show me the bar. So I was just having interviews in the front bar at the Coburg bar that time. And they didn't want to show anything. It was everything very discreet. They were saying everything under refurbishment. You can't go into the bar, but of course you could, but they just didn't want. They wanted to make it very exclusive. So after that, then they told, okay, that's head bartender will be Agostino. And it was like, okay, this is amazing. And then I just called Agostino. I was like, so I had my third interview. It all looks good. I just got my contract in front of me. I'm about to sign it. Is this official that you are on board? And he says, like, no, I'm still kind of negotiating with them. And I said, okay, I'm not going to sign the papers until he sign it. And then there was a day where a few weeks I think after he messaged me. He's like, I just signed a contract. I was like, okay then, because the HR was keep bombing me. He's like, Erik, can you send us back the contract? I was like, yeah, I just still need to study it. I still need to go through what it is. Of course not.
Right.
I was just waiting for Ago. So once he signed it, I just brought it back, signed it, and that was one of the amazing journey that we actually, because the bar was still under construction, so I still remember that our first menu, we created it in one of the butler's room, which was upstairs on the first or second floor. Tiny little room, no window, no air conditioning, just a little space with a fridge and ice machine, and that was it.
I can't believe they even gave you a room that had no air conditioning.
Yeah. That was it. We couldn't have anything. We just were bringing all the ingredients in, all the ideas, all the glassware, and that's what we were working on. So I still remember that time I was still at the Sanderson. So before my shift, I was going to Connaught, did a couple of hours of development and research with Agostino, and then I went to my shift to to Sanderson Hotel. And after when my period finished, my notice period finished, I started straight away, and it was in July we reopened the bar together.
And what did you know about the Connaught before?
Well, I knew that it has one of the oldest American bars, but after the renovation they just closed it and they completely went away from it. Because this was one of the few 3 American bars in town that were still called this American bar. That was the Stratford Hotel, Savoy, and the Connaught. And Connaught was the last remaining one, but after the renovation they said, like, we want to go completely away from that. We want to give a complete new, fresh face to the bar, which is completely different than the guests would expect, because they brought in Helen Darroze,
yes,
she's already Michelin star, so they wanted to bring a bar on the same level, have the same kind of approach, nothing very classy, old school, old fashioned, something more vibrant, more modern, something which perfectly suit to the Carlos place.
I know a lot of people who cried the day that they closed the Connaught restaurant, because it was one of the only places that you could still get silver service.
That's right.
And I remember going there when I was really young.
Really?
Because it was my dad's favorite hotel.
Oh, wow.
He was one of them that still asks to this day, are you bringing that back?
Yeah.
And so he was so thrilled when he heard that, you know, a bar was coming.
Yeah.
And that they were going back to that tradition. So when you saw the bar, you know, this is a bar and a hotel with tons of history.
Yeah.
How did you even start with Ago I mean, I've heard Ago's side of it, but your side of it, to get your head around what this kind of new old bar would be, or bar menu?
I think we just wanted to do something very cool and trendy and sophisticated, and I think it worked. It took a while, because I remember that time when we were opening it, the Instagram, the Twitter, the Facebook wasn't that active. Nobody has pages there that you could promote your brand. So it was very much like word of mouth, and few magazines were writing about that. So when we were opening it, we were so quiet. We were super quiet, yes, because nobody knew that this is a new bar there, and nobody actually knew that, hey, we are open. We did the opening day with a few guest friends and clients of Connaught, and that was it. But I remember 6 months later, we were still receiving guests, and it's like, oh, wow, this has been open. How long has it been here? And it was completely different. It was designed by David Collins, and he did an amazing job there, because everything, literally everything about the bar was just perfect. The lighting, the setup, the colors, the fabric, the decor was just... Everyone just walked in.
It is one of the chicest bars in the world.
He walked in and it was just like, wow, this is amazing. And we just like, okay. And I remember that at that time, the bar manager really wanted to push champagne. So he brought insane collection of champagne into the bar that we were even pouring Salon by the glass, which I don't think so any hotels or bars, they've done it in London. But that was 2008.
Now, you had said that one of your goals was to work in a bar, be there when a bar started.
Yes.
Had you had any preconceived notions of what you wanted to create in this bar, in that whole idea of working at a bar like that?
It was kind of coming gradually. Of course, I wanted to do that, but I haven't had okay, if the bar opens, this is exactly what I want to do, because it's very much up to the bar. Where is the bar? What does it look like? And then I would put myself into the imagination of, okay, so this is the bar and this is what we can do here. And one of the first thing was that when we started working, when we were like doing all the brainstorming sessions and comparing and putting together what's the hotel is about, we got a Helen Darroze there, Michelin star. So it's like, okay, guys, let's just take a Bloody Mary. It's one of the most popular hotel bar drink. But we don't want to just serve the classic Bloody Mary. We want to be sophisticated about it. Let's do what's make this drink so cool and interesting. So I got this idea of taking the celery stick out from the bar, from the drink, because what I've noticed most of the time, people just stir it and just leave it on the table. It's like, why are people wasting this? And I remember before actually I went to apply for the job, I actually went to Paris to see Hélène Darroz's restaurant. It's like I wanted to see her style, what she's like. So I went there for dinner and had a tasting menu. And I still remember one of the dish was a mini club sandwich and like a rocket jelly on the top. And I was like, this was very clever. Instead of putting a fresh rocket, she made like a jelly on the top. So you just pick the club sandwich and just eat it. And that kind of stuck into my head. I was like, what can I do with that here? And then I thought, hold on a second. How can we put the celery on the top of the drink? Just to do a layer of a celery instead of putting in a stick into the drink. And then I thought, wait a second, we have this lecithin powder, which Ferraglia was using everywhere, creating all this air. So that was very trendy at that time. So I was constantly digging into his books and into his ideas of cooking, what he's doing. So I just squeezed the celery juice, mixed it with the lecithin powder, and created the celery air. And then I just, with a julep strainer, I just put a layer on the top of it, because I also found out it was one very old recipe. I just can't remember where was that the Bloody Mary was actually served in a wine glass, not even with ice. So I said, okay, we have a very similar glass. It was designed for us by John Jenkins, and it was like a very short, open wine glass, almost like I would say it's like a glass for ice cream.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
said,
it is.
That could be the perfect glass for that. Use the Bloody Mary without any ice, and just put a celery on the top.
Because when you put your nose in it, you really smell that celery.
Yeah. But the whole idea was that you drink it in the same time.
Mm-hmm.
So you don't waste the stick out, and it's just so sophisticated. It's just like when you look into it and everyone's just like, wow, what is this? I still remember we had this gentleman, we served him first time. He was a big Bloody Mary lover. And he came in just like, so I heard this bar just open. What is something I should try? And he's like, I think you should try Bloody Mary. It's like, I drink Bloody Mary all the time. I want something else, something that's like, but I think you should try our Bloody Mary.
Yeah, but not our Bloody Mary.
But he was like, I'm drinking Bloody Mary all the time. I want to try something new, something different. It's like, well, let me just serve you one Bloody Mary and then see if it surprises you or not. And when he tried that, he goes like, wow. Okay, I wasn't expecting anything like this.
I can never go back now. He probably thought to the old Bloody Mary.
So what he became ever like a Bloody Mary ambassador. Uh-huh. He was coming only to drink Bloody Mary, and he was bringing guests and friends to drink Bloody Mary. It was amazing. And yeah, so that was one of the things like, and that's when we started thinking like, okay, with Agustin, it's like, this is the direction we want to go. We can't focus on the champagne. It's 2008. It's the credit card, the market just crashed. Right. People stopped spending money. They were like, not people, they were all scared to just pay £100 for a glass of champagne.
Right.
And then we kind of tried to transform. It's like, I think we want to create a hotel bar with a very much a face of a cocktails destination, but with a very modern approach. Mm-hmm. So do something very, very unique and cool, but still keep the DNA. If it was the classic drink, just keep a nice DNA of it, but add something new and different.
Did you feel that this was kind of your culmination, what you were born to do? You know, you had worked all those years at Attica and the Japanese place, you've been to Japan, that now you could really be creative and
definitely,
be the person, not creative, I guess, but be that person that you wanted to be when you were young.
This was a moment that where I was really find myself like, that's what I was looking for so long. One, I could create things. One, and second, be there from beginning. So setting up the first steps of the bar and creating the face of the bar, because everywhere where I went to work, it was already everything established. It was already someone done it, and we were just following it. Mm-hmm. And I didn't find it's wrong, but I want to experience how it is to open a bar, because ultimately my biggest dream as a bartender for years was to open my own bar. Mm-hmm. And only one way to do it is just to learn how it is, because that's the best way. And I think that's the best thing I've learned in my career, that where I was a part of the opening team, and when you see the stress which comes with it, and just try to try to have this stress under control. And I remember that I felt so much into my world when we were there, and they started bringing the furniture, bringing the glassware, and bringing the bottles. And I just looked into the bar, and it's like I straight away pictured how I could imagine this bar. And until today, it's set up as it was, as I imagined it. That's it has 1, 2, 3, 4 windows and one main, where mainly the whiskeys are. And on the sides there were small windows where I've created. Okay, this will be the vodka window. This will be the gin window. This will be the tequila one and the rum. So it was perfectly nicely spread, and I just did it as I looked into it, and I just started to follow my imagination of if this is my bar, how I could set it up. And it worked perfectly, because I found myself so comfortable in that environment, and especially working with a great team that everyone was supporting. It was no fight like, no, we shouldn't put it there, no, we shouldn't put it there, just for the sake because I was putting it there, right? Because this is lots of time it just happened because people don't have an idea, so just like, you don't have idea either. And it wasn't happening. And it could be easily done because Agostino was head bartender, and he just led me to do the things, led me to set it up, and we worked so perfectly together that there was no argument, no this.
That's so lovely.
Nothing that would make us like, okay, we have a problem. We never had problem.
Now, but how long did it take before the horde started to come?
Oh, it took. Well, that was quite a while, because obviously when we opened, people didn't know us. Not many people know us. And we were just keep pushing, keep trying, coming up with new ideas. After when we introduced the Connaught trolley, the Martini trolley, it's become a massive hit. But again, it took so long that actually people started recognizing it. And we had it, I think 6 months after opening, we launched the trolley. It was very early, but a year later, nobody even paid that much attention to it. And all of a sudden, people just started, like if you look back today, list of best martinis, it's one of them is the Connaught, because of the trolley martini, the way how it's served and how is it being done. And then we were waiting for so long, like when people recognized us. We were up for awards, we were in shortlisted here and there, but we never won anything. It was like, I felt very sad for Agostino, because he had the same thing at the Montgomery place. He won, I remember he won the class bartender of the year, but after that the bar never won anything. And it was so sad to see, because that bar was basically a destination bar for bartenders to go and get an idea. What is the bar of today? And that bar never got any award, and which was just so sad to see. And I was like, is this because something to do with Agostino? That just like he moved to another bar, which is like amazing. And we always shortlisted, but nothing.
Well, you've made up for it since, which is good. But it must have been, yeah.
But it took a while. It took us, I remember it was taking so long that people started noticing. I still remember we were sitting in New Orleans behind this big circle table. We are shortlisted, and we were just like, okay, let's hope that this is going to happen. Let this going to happen. No. Didn't.
But at the same time, you were you doing your awards?
2010 was really our year, because that was when people really started noticing. So I entered to world class representing...
Had you ever done world class before?
No, that was my first time. So I entered in the world class representing UK from the Connaught, and then that was 2010 was the most amazing, I think, year for all of us, because the global final of world class was in July. I think it was in the first week of July. And I came back home from Greece with a trophy as a global winner. And so we had to split it, because I went to Greece to global final. That was 1 week. So I came back, and then Agostino went to New Orleans, because got a nomination there as well. And a week later, he came back with also a nomination as an international bartender, and our bar won the hotel bar. So it was like, okay, here it is. So in 1 week, finally, 1 week, we won pretty much everything what we could win. But it took so long. But I'm not saying that it's because we really wanted to win that, but it's just like it's there and you're still not getting it. So it's like we are just thinking, what are we doing wrong? What are we doing really wrong? It's not like we want to do these things to win awards. We just want to see that what we're doing wrong, because we just try to improve all the time and it wasn't coming. But that July 2010 was amazing. That he came back with a trophy and I just got a trophy, and that was the most amazing moment in my life.
Well, we have to talk a little bit about World Class.
Yeah.
You said you never had applied before. What were talk me through some of the cocktails you invented for it and how that felt to just win the UK and then to go on to...
So I never applied because in 2009 my colleague went. So I was kind of helping him and I was just looking, what is this World Class all about? So he had to prepare this and I was just helping him with that, and then he had to do another drink. And I was like, this looks so cool, this competition. And he made it to a UK final. He was in a UK final, so me and Agostino went to support him. And he's confidently talking through his presentation. And as he goes, he pours the drink, and suddenly the drink, he didn't realize that. And we both, with our eyes, were just pushing, like, oh, do the last thing. And we're looking into the glass, and it's so short. And he couldn't figure out, it's like, why his drink is so short. And the reason why was he forgot to put a Tanqueray engine in it.
Oh, no way.
Yes. So that's how, although if he would put it in, everyone was saying he would win it.
Oh,
he would
that's
win.
So sad.
He would go straight away in because
just the nerves got to him.
I wasn't even nervous. He was very confident. I think he just happened. He just forgot.
Yeah.
He just forgot. Because he was doing so well. The presentation, he had amazing drink. Everything was just set, but only that one little thing, it's a big thing. Mm-hmm. So then I said, you know what, let me give it a try. Let me try this. And so the final drink, I remember for the UK final I was making, because it was through various rounds, and that was nerve-wracking because after every round, there were eliminations. And I was still in, and after second round, I was still in, third round, still in. I said, oh my God, how long I'm going to go for? I had all the drinks ready for every single round, even the final one. Only thing I was just missing is the name, because I was like, I'm not sure if I'm going to make it, but I had a drink ready. So suddenly I'm ending up in with Stephen Martin face-to-face, great bartender from up north. And this was basically a shake-off between myself and him, presenting our own signature drink. And the best drink basically is the winner, and that was the one who would take you to the global final. So as I was making the drink, I just got back from Japan, so I discovered yuzu. So I probably the first bartender using yuzu drink that time, with fino sherry, coriander, Tanqueray 10, and it was lots of talking about the botanicals of the gin. And I said, how can I enhance it? How can I bring this to in? So what I created was just taking all the main botanicals from the gin, and I created a little vessel on the side of the drink and pour it over dry ice and hot water. So once I served the drink, you would get this amazing steam from the dry ice, but from the flavor which you would find in the botanicals. And then you would have a sip of the drink, and that would be the whole kind of ritual and wow factor of the drink, because that was the request. It's like, we want to see a wow factor, and we want to see the audience how would react on that. It's like, what else you can do than dry ice?
Right.
So when I done this, I remember that, and it was amazing, standing ovation. People loved that. I was like, okay, cool. Made a drink, and suddenly one of the judges goes like, Erik, so what's the name of the drink? And I just took a deep breath in, and I just looked through the room, and one of the saying of World Class was raising the bar.
All right.
And I looked left, and I just seen it on that sign. I seen it in World Class. It's raising the bar. So I just looked at, read that, and I'm just like raising to the sky. The moment, and everyone was like, yes, this is amazing, because just the steam was coming up and it's like raising to the sky. And that was it, and this ended up being in a global final. That was my ticket.
And when you're surrounded with kind of, 30 or more, however many are in the final of you, the best. Did you ever think, oh boy, I may be in over my head, or were you just always so super confident?
Never really. I just really wanted to try what is this competition about. I never really thought, okay, I can make it to the global final. But once I've seen a ticket to global final, and I received the rules, and I looked into that, I was like, this is something I can do, because the rules are like, there are some tricks, there are something you need to prepare for. Like, you just can't show up and just anyone can do it. Yes, good, but how you end up, it's secondary. And then I said, like, if I start training on this and I focus on this, it can be done. Because everything what was there was something I liked. I really enjoyed. I really enjoyed work with the chefs, really enjoyed to work in an environment, like a busy environment. Always like to work in a busy bars and having everything under control. I always wanted to be creative, that I could do something when it just to make drinks on the spot. And those were the challenges. So it's like, one was the speed run, and one was pairing food with the dishes. Then we had a market challenge, and then of course they were the trickiest one, were the blind tastings. But again, it's something like, if I will train, I can do it. So I started training for that, and I tried to focus on that I can go for it, and let's see how it goes. Never in my head that I would win, especially after when just before work class I went home, because it was summer, so I went to visit my family, and I had a little accident. The little accident ended up being smashing my teeth when I was walking upstairs in a cellar, and it was a low ceiling, dark, I couldn't see. So as I hit my head, so my front teeth just got broken. And I was like, no, now, just right before work class, like missing teeth, it was awful. So I went straight away to dentist, fix it. But the problem was, a few days later, when I came back to England after my holiday, and I just started getting this very bad headache. And I was like, what is this? So just maybe headache, took one painkiller, nothing second, nothing. And I came back from work, and it was like 3 a.m, and this headache was just on and on and on. By 5 a.m, I was in a massive pain, and I was just like, what's happening here? In the morning, like 8 a.m, I was almost like paralyzed. My whole head, my arms, my fingertips, everything was just wrong. Something was going wrong here, and I didn't know what's going on. Luckily, hospital was just across the road where I lived, so I went to the hospital, and I went for a check, and they just said, yeah, you just take some painkillers. I was like, I already took like 5. You either do a complete checkup, otherwise I'm not leaving.
Right.
So they took me in, they did a scan, and I remember when I was leaving the scan room, I just collapsed. It was that bad. Collapsed, and I just woke up in the room. Already in the hospital, in the room, full on a, what's that called, on the drips. And I was like, what the hell is going on here? And they just came to me, it's like, we have something, but we're still kind of figuring out, like, what is the problem? So they tried to, like, track it down. It's like, have you had any accidents? What happened? What did you do for the last few days? So I started just working. I came back home from work, and I had this headache. It was like, and before. So then I said, oh yeah, I hurt my head, and then I had this, I smashed my teeth. Your teeth. So straight away after that, they did a scan on my teeth, and they figured out that actually my nerves started dying after. But they said that, so this is very common, that once your nerves got hit, it doesn't go immediately. It takes like 3-4 days until it's all developed. So that's why we all lost the track of, like, that could be the problem, and that was the problem. So my nerves in my bottom part of the mouth, they started dying, and that was creating insane pain. So when they figured out what's the problem, they just gave me right antibiotics and painkillers. So I came out from the hospital, and I was like, it was 2 days to go to the global final.
How much time?
It was 2 days to go.
Could you taste anything? Was it like your mouth?
Taste
okay?
was fine. No.
Uh-huh.
Taste was fine. It was more about just the pain, because it was coming from from my mouth, and he went to my back, and he ended up in my fingertips, because those nerves are all connected. And from my head to my neck and the bottom, it was just like awful. Like I never had anything like that. And from such a little thing, and there's things like the biggest pain you get in your body is always from the smallest part, and that's the teeth. So I went to a dentist, then they checked out everything, and it's just like, I told them, like, I'm supposed to go to Greece for this competition. Am I okay to do that? It's like, yeah, you're fine. Because what they said, we don't want to drill till we figure out exactly where it is. So what we need to do, we just need to wait till the whole pain is gone. Mm-hmm. Because when they were just clicking on my teeth, like all of them were in pain. It's like, I felt this. Like, okay, we cannot do anything, because what we don't want is just drill into your teeth, which is fine.
Right.
So they just gave me a hell of lots of painkillers and antibiotics. So it's like, just take this and you will be fine.
And then off to Greece you went.
And so...
Were you in pain at all during Greece?
No, I remember this happened on... The whole problem was on Thursday, it escalated. So Friday I was in a hospital. I came up from the hospital on a Friday. On Saturday. I went back to work on Saturday because that was my last day before going to Greece, and I was flying on Sunday. So I went back to work, and Ago was like, what the hell are you doing here? It's like, man, I need to pack and prepare, and I'm flying tomorrow. It's like, you crazy, just go home. It's like, no, I had to stay here, I had to do this. So I did my last shift before. I just like packed everything what I was training on. All my ingredients, all my tools, all my vessels and everything. And Sunday I went with one bag of painkillers to Athens. And I think that was one of the things that I don't want to say is like that helped me, but because I had these painkillers, I was like, I didn't touch alcohol at all. When I see other guys, they were just like, they've seen opportunity, it's a big party, free alcohol, let's just have some fun. And I said, for me, it's not fun. For me, this is serious. This is competition, and I didn't come here to party.
Right.
I could party at home. And I was just there, sober, and watching everyone and just focusing on every single challenges. And when it came to the challenge, I was just super focused on that. And this is what I was always having in my mind, that I always tried to imagine that when I was back at the Connaught and I was just trying to present the drink, I always was imagining that in front of me is a judge and how the judge will be reacting. But I was the guest. So I served him my drink and I'll just see the reaction. So it's like, I need to do this in a reverse. When I will be on the competition and judge will be sitting in front of me, I just have to imagine him that he's my guest.
Right.
And just how to look after him, how to present this drink, how to make him drink that he will like before you and I serve him this drink. And that's how I met first time Del de Groff. That was the first time I actually made drink for Gary Regan and Salvatore Calabrese, Peter Dorley, all these big guns from our industry. Suddenly you were facing that I was reading all their books, and now I have to make the drinks for them. Lots of bartenders were so nervous because they knew. And for me it was like, no, I can't be nervous. I should enjoy it because I have a privilege to serve him a drink right now. And I think that was one of the key, that I just went it so smoothly, no mistakes, because I just had everything perfectly set. I brought even my own ice to the competition and made all the drinks spot on time. And I think that was one of the key that really helped me, that stay calm and still focused and enjoy it and see them as not the scary people who will harm you, but people who are there to judge you. But in the same time, if you look into them as they are your guests, you just want to make them happy and satisfied. And that's how I just looking at them. And that's how I went through the whole entire competition without any nerves, anything to forget or anything. And all of a sudden, when they were saying the names out in every challenge, I said, I remember this judge was saying that my challenge was pretty good. So I was like, maybe I can get this challenge, at least challenge. They announced the challenge, no. They announced another challenge, no. Third, fourth, fifth. And it was just like challenges going. It's like, okay, that's it. Okay. Nothing, no challenge. And suddenly, and the winner is, and when my name comes out, I was like, I cannot believe this. This is not true. So I remember before going on a stage, I went through every single bartender who was competing to give them a hug. And so it's like, thank you very much for being an amazing part of this game and journey. And when I went on the stage, I was like, show me the paper. That's my name is on it. Yes, it is.
So when you came back to London after that, did you see say a change in maybe the guests coming, having heard from that about that, or
first thing I remember, I was on the way to the airport from in Athens, and I forgot my trophy. So the whole bus had to turn back. It's like, Erik, you left your trophy back. Oh, sorry, I wasn't thinking about that. So I had to turn back the whole bus back to the hotel, find the trophy, get it back. But then it was like so calm. It was nothing happening because everyone was just like, okay, work class, it's over. It's just, everyone wanted to just like breathe out. And a few weeks later, people started writing about it, talking about it, coming up. And then suddenly one interview, second interview, newspaper, magazine, radio. And I was like, what is this? And it was just spinning on and on and on and on and on and on and on.
And it hasn't stopped really.
It doesn't stop really after 10 years, still going.
So, of course, your next stop was the Savoy.
Yeah, so after, with the work class, obviously that was... So we had the work class, Agostino won international bartender, the hotel won an international hotel bar, and suddenly the spotlights were on us. So everyone started, what's those guys doing and who are there? And obviously one of them was just like, okay, these are the guys. And one of my, that time, colleague, because we were in a Marylebones group, and that was Connaught Claridge's Barclay Hotel. So we were kind of colleagues, but he was working at the Claridge's. He moved to Savoy as in the opening team of the American bar manager. So we kind of knew each other from the company before, because he knew that I was at the Connaught while he was at the Claridge's. So he went straight away to me. No, actually, he was very diplomatic about it, Daniel Ben Reuter, that he went straight to the manager of the Connaught, Santino Cicciari, and he told him, Santino, I'd like to offer Erik a job, and that's the head bartender. And Santino, Italian, proud, and of course he didn't want to lose me, and it's like, forget about that. But obviously, he came to me saying, hey, did you got any offer from the Savoy? I was like, what? No, they told me that they're going to offer you some job. It's like, Santino, honestly, I got no offer at all. And this was like 1 week, just quiet. And he was every day when I came to her, was like, so you got anything? I was like, no. I think you're just taking a mock out of me because nobody came to me, and I'm swearing to you here that I haven't received anything. And a week later, suddenly I got a call from Daniel saying, hey, Erik, I'd like to have a chat with you. I was like, okay, I might know what this chat is about. And then we met up in Notting Hill for a coffee. And then he told me that, so the opening is happening this year because the Savoy was delaying.
Right, I remember it was closed for about 3 years, right?
The plan was only 12 months. 12 months, then it went 18 months, and then it was 2 years,
right?
And then ended up 3 years. And I remember Jack Berger was telling me, I think, Erik, you should take that role, the head bartender role. You would be perfect for it. I was like, come on, Jack, it's too big for me. And then I was just like, I'm very curious what's going to happen.
Why did you think it was too big for you?
I always looked Savoy, American bar, and seeing all these legends, they're like, I don't know, I felt too...
That's the first time I've heard you say that you felt like you might not be able to...
No, because I never thought about it, really. And when I looked into that, it was like, that's role is too big. It's like, come on, American bar, head bartender, reopening, massive. So I didn't even apply for that role. And I knew that there was, applications was open. I said, I'm happy at the Connaught. I'm having amazing team here. We're having amazing year here. So what else I want? Nothing. I'm happy. I had everything what I needed and I wanted. So I was very happy where I was. But when they came to me, I was like, okay.
Let me think about this again.
Exactly. Let me think about it again. Because I think this kind of offers won't come twice.
And there haven't been very many head bartenders throughout the years. It's only 9, right?
Yes, so that was like, okay, let me just think about it. So head bartender, new opening. I was like Harry Craddock, Peter Dorley, Ed Coleman, Joe Gill. Oh my God, it's like, is this for real? So I was like so many meetings with Daniel, and then I came back to Santino and the Connaught. It's like, yeah, they offered me a job. So what do you want to do? I was like, okay, so now I started thinking more like from my development career, like, so what can I do here in order for me to stay?
Right.
Rather than what I will do. if there's something I can internally develop, that I can progress, I won't go. If you offer me something, but I knew kind of like it couldn't be because Agostino was above me, and it's not a big bar that would need another, I don't know, some kind of a beverage, whatever, mixologist or whatever, because it's just one solo bar, which everyone has his own role. So there was not much going on there. It's like, and Agostino was a head bartender, and I said, well, they're offering me head bartender role at the American bar, so that I think I should go for it. So everyone was like, no, you have to go for it. This is something you just don't let it go.
It's so great to have had that support where you were.
I had amazing support.
Yeah.
And I still remember my last day at the Connaught. I had an amazing leaving party from the team. And then I was just going through so many interviews at the Savoy. It wasn't just like a HR interview, head of department interview. I remember I had an interview with like managers from other departments, the beverage director, the food and beverage director. I had an interview with the hotel manager, and I never had this before. Like when I was applying for any hotels before, Connaught or Sanderson, I never seen the hotel manager that would like to sit down face to face. And I remember I had to sit down with him even twice. And I remember, like,
I guess you kind of realized, just by you saying that, I realized how important that bar is.
Exactly. So they really, really wanted to make sure that whoever comes
historically, as part of the Savoy, as part of London,
and it was big.
The book, the
because it wasn't book, and also it wasn't just the bar opening; it was the whole hotel.
Right.
So everyone who would walk in, they would see everything just reopening anew. And I remember that the hotel manager, Mr. McDonald, he just asked me, he's like, so what's your goal? And I was telling him, he's like, when I came first time to this bar, that was my birthday, because we were always going with Marianne Becker around on our birthdays to hotel bars, and just like that was the moment where we could kind of really enjoy it. And it's like, when I came here last time, I really felt like the bar was missing something. And then we were taken as a group by a brand, and they were telling us, so we're going to see the American bar, but not really for the drinks. And that kind of stayed in my mind. It's like, it was very hard to listen that such an iconic place as American bar, and we're going there to see the place, but not for the drinks. And so it's like, so something needs to be fixed here, or something needs to be kind of dusted off and make it, so it's like, I told him, I want to bring this bar back to the map where it belongs to. And I remember he was just like on his phone, on his BlackBerry, and he was like, don't worry, Rick, I'm listening to you. And he was making notes what I was saying. Because I remember on the opening day, he was giving everyone a book. And he wrote a sentence saying, you're going to bring this bar back to where it belongs to. And when we started, that was the whole mission, that really, really everyone. And then wanted to see the bar, how is it going to look like, and what's going to be the American bar about. And then when I signed the contract, and it was, quite frankly, I signed the contract of the Savoy here in front of Momo on the Head Street.
I sure it's like everything from your past comes back to you.
For some reason, it was connected somehow. It was like some message.
The White Lady, remember we talked about last time?
I know.
Yes, one of the most iconic Savoy drinks
I signed
ever.
a contract on the terrace here outside of the Momo.
Right.
And then when was the opening, Daniel came to me saying, Erik, you know that we received around 300 applications for the head bartender role. I was like, are you kidding me? I have enough stress with the opening, and I've been telling me this, like there will be like 299 people coming in to see me why they didn't get a job and what I'm doing better than they do.
And you didn't even apply.
And I didn't apply. I was like, please don't do this to me. And that was true, because I remember after years, I met some of my friends and they were telling me, it's like, do you know that I also applied for the role? I was like, no. Yeah, it's like, yeah, I did as well. I was like, oh, sure.
Well, creating, you had but a few years before, created a menu for a new hotel, the Connaught.
Yeah.
How did you approach the Savoy one differently?
So we were thinking, like, what would be the best menu? And we were analyzing everything. we were just not analyzing, we make a menu and this will be our menu for the American bar as a signature menu. We were analyzing like, we need to think of a guest who were coming here for 40 years or 30 years. And we don't want to scare them off because they love to come here and they were coming here for until the hotel closed down for renovation, and we need to appreciate them as well. So what we need to do here is make it very logically and make it very smooth entering into, or the smoother opening that everyone will be comfortable. So our very, very first menu was like, let's just do classic cocktails. So our whole menu was, I think, about 18 or 20 classics, but we picked some very cool classic cocktails. Like,
did you make them classic from the famous Savoy book?
We made them what I believe that this is the perfect recipe for old-fashioned or the daiquiri.
So it was the recipes of those classic cocktails.
But we were going quite far, or I would say very confident with the drinks that no other bars would put on the menu because they found it, yes, it's a classic, but it's such a pain in the ass to do. So let's just not do it.
Like, what is one of them?
Ramos Gin Fizz.
Okay.
You never would see a Ramos Gin Fizz on the menu. And we was like, let's put it on the menu. Let's make it work that it's another classic, it's a great classic, and show to the world that we can make it, whether it's a Sunday evening where it's 10 people in the bar or Friday where it's 50 people in the bar, and make it executed exactly the same way, because that's something I felt very confident about. To execute and get it out as quick as possible and in the best quality as possible. So that was my main mission, just like take very classic drinks, which was not very hard to do, but the execution was the key, and make it in the best quality. So that was the key. So our first menu was really about just to do it perfect. And I think that was a great move, because when is the grand opening of the Grand Hotel, you want to stay grand. And I remember that I had a guest at the bar when we reopened, and it was so funny that those two guests, they just met randomly after the opening, as randomly they met before the hotel closed down. It was so insane to watch that. Remember, you, yeah. And one of them was saying like, oh my God, it's been 3 years. And we met exactly next to each chairs on the bar stools. Like, yes. So one guy is telling the story to me, and him's like, so I have to tell you something. So when the hotel was closing down, I heard it was closing down for renovation, I had to come here because I really love the Manhattans here. So he just ordered a Manhattan. And he said, and do you know what happened after? And I was like, what? After when the bar closed, I make myself a promise that I will never order Manhattan ever again until the hotel opens. And you know what happened? I was like, what? I had to wait 3 years for it. I was like, oh my God. Yes, because it was 12 months. So it's just like, okay, 12 months I can do that. And it was like 3 years. I was waiting for this drink 3 years. I was just like, oh my God, I love this bar because the stories were coming.
And it must have been the best Manhattan he'd ever had now again.
And he was like, oh, wow. So being a part of this, it just was such an amazing journey of witnessing things, stories, and connections of people that they were coming here. And there was a guest who was probably the oldest regular guest I ever served in my life. He's been going to Savoy for 55 years. I was like, my Lord, I'm not even that old.
Right.
He's been already coming here. And or guests who lived at the Savoy for 2 years. Oh, he was my guest for 2 years because he lived at the Savoy. So I was like, I've seen him more often than my dad or my mom or my brother. So I knew exactly what he wants and what time would he want and how he like. And these kind of things like made the Savoy so special and so unique that it's like, I don't think so there's another place in the world that had so much history and so much connections. And
I'm sure, unlike the Connaught opening, you immediately were successful because it was a Savoy opening.
Yeah, because it was expectation were insane, and the curiosity. I remember when we did the opening, our first day, that we changed slightly the policy, because I remember back in Peter Dorley's days, he was saying that you could stand around the bar, you could stand, mingle around. It was like very free. But with the new opening, Daniel decided to like, no, we want to raise the service much higher. So what we're going to do is we're going to hold the door and we will do only table service. So we could only sit 88 guests at a time. Our last guest from upstairs, where you walk all the way up, whereas now is the host stand is, it was a queue back to the lobby.
Oh,
so the last person who was waiting, he was literally waiting in the lobby, and waiting time was 2 hours. For him was 2 hours, and he was still waiting. We told him, like, I'm very sorry, but it will take 2 hours, right, from now. That's fine. I was like, I never seen anything like this. Someone would wait for 2 hours for drinks. And that's how important this bar was for many.
And then you got, again, the second bar that you worked, the best bar in the world.
Yes. So that was, that was 2011. It was shortly after. And I think that was another fantastic year, because what happened was that Agostino was announcing the category, which we were nominated. And I was very nervous. I remember that, because that was the moment like, okay, this is a big thing in New Orleans, big audience, and just like being shortlisted so many times is like, I just hate this, because it's just like you're there and you don't know and you're just nervous. And when it came out, I was like, I cannot believe it, that it just all meant to be, that I'm going on a stage taking over the trophy from my former colleague. And I still remember, I think I got the paper somewhere, because when you open an envelope, it says the name. And when I went on the stage, they gave me the trophy and he gave me the paper. And I remember Ago gave me the paper and just like, keep this. So I put it straight away in my pocket. I was like, this is amazing memory, that working together and now going on the stage and receiving the amazing award, and he's being one who announced it. It was just amazing. And I think that was something that the bar really was missing, and it deserved to get, because that bar gave so much to us, to the industry and to guests, and the cocktails that they've invented there and the stories being made there. It's just like amazing feeling to be a part of that.
And
experience.
a part of history.
Yeah, it's part of the history.
Yeah. So now we're sitting in your own bar, which had been your dream, you said.
Yeah, so
for a long, long time.
I remember my dream. That started kind of, the seed was planted by Simon Difford when I won World Class, and we were doing photo shooting for the World Class booklets at the Connaught, and he told me, you should open your own bar, Erik, now, because this is your year, and you have an amazing year. You worked in amazing bars. You've got something amazing achieved now, and you should open your own bar. So I was like, okay. And it was just there, sitting in my back of my head. But as the time was going, I started more thinking, looking and asking and researching. And when I was halfway through at the Savoy, and then I felt like, okay, what's next?
How many years were you there again?
At the Savoy, 8 years.
8, yeah.
So when I was there about 4 years, I started intensively looking and searching and realizing how difficult it is. It's not easy to open a bar in London, especially.
As you say, the buck stops here. Yeah. It's
especially when you are like a newcomer and you want to do it everything for first time and just try to do it. It's just becoming very difficult when it comes to site, locations, licensing, leasing, and everything is just not easy. So that's kind of put me back, saying, okay, let's do this way. I stay at the Savoy and I'm just going to do my research. I'm going to do my work at home and to see how the market is, where the locations are, and how much the whole thing costs, and how I can fund this. Maybe find some investors, because when I was at the Connaught, I was collecting business cards, because everyone was coming like, hey, if you want to think about something, just give me a call. So I had like 5 investors on the table straight away. And I just realized, like, okay, but the site was the tricky one. And first I was very careful, very secretive about it. But then I said, no, I can't be. If I want to open a bar and I want to find the site, I just need to talk about this. And I remember once Douglas Ankar was sitting at the bar chatting. And it's like, so what are you up to, Erik? It's like, I like to open my own bar. So it's like, you got something? No, I'm still looking for a site. And a few weeks later, I think, he just called me saying, Erik, I think you should meet Murad. I was like, who is Murad? You heard about Sketch? I was like, yeah. You heard about Momo? I was like, yeah. So he's the guy behind it. It's like, okay. So we met up. He did the introduction. We met up, had a chat with him, and Murad just brought me downstairs to, that time was the Kemia bar. So walked through the Momo restaurant. I was like, wow, I remember this. I used to come here when I was at the Connaught. I used to have a tea upstairs in the tea room before I went to my shift at the Connaught. I was like, I know exactly the location. I was like, this is perfect. Central London. I used to work down in a living room on Head-on Street. Right. I signed the contract on this street. Exactly. I was like, everything is perfect.
Coming back here.
It's coming back. It's so cool. So, and when I walked downstairs, I was like, wow, this looks amazing. That you just starting getting lost from the street. That there's no sign downstairs as you walk down on the doors. They have like several doors. One is to the office, another one is to the kitchen, then at the bathrooms, and this was the big wooden door. And when you open it, I was like, okay. It looks scary because everything what was inside I just didn't like. It was just like black wall, black ceiling, dance floor, very old bar. I said, this was a famous club. It's been there 23 years. Madonna celebrated her 30th birthday. It was amazing here. And just like, I'm looking for someone who would take it over and give a little bit of sparkle and do something cool here. I was like, okay. So what's the deal? And he said, like, I got a little problem here. I was like, what is the problem? So the problem is that I already got 2 guys. They came just before you. And then I showed them. And on a Monday, they're supposed to come and tell me if they are interested or not. I was like, okay. But I like to hear, what would you like to do here? So I was like, we wanted to know like if I really fit into what we could do, because I never met him in my life. So it says like, I worked in a hotel bar. I'm more looking forward to open a cocktail bar rather than a club. So I want to do something very classy, very elegant. And he kind of, I like this guy. I really like these ideas. I was like, I need to get back to these guys to see what they're going to say on Monday. So the guys came on Monday and they said, we want to take the club. So he called me, he's like, Erik, good news, bad news. Thing is that the guy's taking it because I offered them first before you, but only for 2 years because the lease is finishing. So it's like, okay, so it's not a bad thing because I can't come in here and take it over and renew everything, because everything what was here I just didn't like. It was very old club. So the investment just wouldn't work here, because if the lease finish, we probably never make that money back.
Right.
And if we never get the lease back, we're in trouble. So it's like, in a way, it's a favor works to us that it's going to take a little bit longer than we think. It's like, okay, I'll leave it up to you. It's like, let me work on a new lease. Once we got a new lease, till then I get these guys to run the place, and I'll get back to you. But it was like 15 months suddenly just waiting, and I was just keep going, looking around. I remember I've seen another site. I got very excited about this site, so I called that time my business partner who I wanted to partner up with, and it's like, hey, listen, I found this new site and it's amazing. It's got a nice front entrance with the terrace, and it's like, okay, let's go have a look. So I completely forgot about this because he just went quiet. So I went to see this site, and on the website it was marked as site available to take it over. And when we get there, I got shocked. It got closed down and saying opening soon. I was like, no. What is this going on around? So I called the agent. I was like, listen, you told me to come here, have a look. I'm here with my investor. And it says it's closed. I was like, what do you mean? You should on a rider? I'm in front. And it says it's closed. So things like this suddenly is like, okay, it's not easy, because even a guy from the agency didn't know that suddenly someone did something, gave to someone, and the place was gone. On another one, I found another site, and the guy was like, every phone call I had a call with him, he was increasing the rent by 10,000. Mm-hmm. By 10,000, so 6 phone calls, 60,000 up. Because there was someone else was there who was keep bidding against me.
Or that was the story.
That was the agency story. That's how it works here. So I was started getting a little bit frustrated because Murad is not calling me back. All this side just like not working. 15 months later, Murad just called me saying, Erik, I've got a new lease. I was like, I don't believe you until it's in front of me
Right.
on a paper and just show me where do I sign.
Right.
So then we met up, I remember before Christmas. I think, no, that was before, actually, just before we won the 50 Best. It was 2017. We met 2017 with Murad again, and he showed me everything is coming according to the contract, everything coming according to the plan. So 2018, I think we can do it. So it was amazing departure that we won the 50 Best and at the Savoy, and I said, okay, now I can say a goodbye, even not intentionally planned, but it was just, it just worked out perfectly. And I was like, I've done my part, I done what I could do at the Savoy, and now it's the new journey. So
what did it look like in here?
Before it was a nightclub. So it was just like dance
So
floor.
in those 15 years, in the 15 months, what had happened in here?
So no, he was just running it. He would just keep running it. He would just keep running it as.
So no one new came in.
No. Those guys, they were only on a 2 years contract.
Oh, okay.
When their contracts finished, so he was just running it as a part of the restaurant.
Okay.
But I think he was just opening Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. So Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday always closed.
Okay.
So, and every time when I was coming, I've seen something was disappearing from the room. And I was like, you're really making this like good. Get everything out because I don't want anything what I've seen here.
Did you have an idea of what you wanted
straight
it to
away,
be?
I was having an idea. I was like, I really wanted to do kind of like a colonial, tropical style, because when I first time entered to Momo, it was so much greenery outside. And when you walk in, you have this Moroccan restaurant, and it's like, this is amazing. That staircase downstairs, you also like, you already transport you like you're not even in London.
Right.
It's
It
like,
is, and it is one of the most famous Moroccan restaurants, I think, in London.
It is, yeah. It's been here now, 24 years.
Yeah.
So it's like, yeah, this works perfectly to create something which gives you this nice tropical look and feeling into it. So I started doing my research on what texture you want to use, what look, images, and etc. And I just created kind of like a mood board for him. And then he introduced me to Bambi Sloan. She was our designer, a very good friend of Murad. And then I worked with her. Like, this is how I imagine the bar to look like. This is what I like to do with it. And this is how I like to create this kind of ambience. So it's a seating only. So we had a bit of argument because she wanted to create a small table. So it's like, no, Bambi, I want to have bigger tables. So you're opening a restaurant. It's like, not opening a restaurant. I want to make a comfortable bar. That's where the guests can sit down, drink a cocktail, and have some food as well, because we have opportunity from upstairs. Serve amazing Moroccan food here. And if I put a small, tiny little tables and you have a lamp and everyone has his mobile phone, you have a drink and you have no space for anything. And we have opportunity to do that. So worked very closely on her. That's how I like to do that. Or the bar counter. She wanted to do 30 centimeters bar counter. It's like, no, I want a 60. It's like, but why don't be so big? It's like, because I want to serve food on the bar top as well. I want to make people feel comfortable. I don't want people feel squeezed and just like tiny little bar. So worked very closely on that. And I think it worked out perfectly, because what we've created here was exactly what was in my imagination, to create something which would really transport you from London elsewhere.
And this time, with this bar that you're creating, you don't have anyone to tell you really what to do. You're making your own history. With the Savoy, the Connaught, everywhere else has its own history. This is your history. So
Totally.
It's kind of daunting, I would think. But
yeah, it was very scary in a way that completely doing everything from scratch and seeing first this room as it was like a one dark nightclub, and then 3rd of January 2019 it was just like only cables from the ceiling.
And when did you opened? March?
So we opened in 13th of May.
3rd of May, right.
But when I was standing here in January in this cold room, seeing cables and nothing and just bricks, not even a floor, I was like, what is this gonna look like? How is this gonna look like? But I said, I just need to go. I just need to go for it, take that risk, and hopefully, and I'm just believing that it's gonna work out, that how it looks on a paper cool, that it will be also when people walk in and they find it, actually this is cool. And it happened. So when it started slowly coming together, and started bringing people on board, and everyone I just had to like, it's not a month, it's another month, it's a little bit longer. So pleasing everyone and making sure, don't worry, if it's gonna be cool, it's gonna be nice. So putting it together just worked out like better than I thought it will be like.
And the bar program, the bar menu?
So the menu was amazing, that I had a year time to work on, think of what would the menu look like. And then I said, you know what, I don't want to give a theme to the menu, like our theme will be inspired by this and that. No, I just want to serve cocktails that I believe that this is for modern palate, that this is the drinks it's the drink of today. And drink of today mean by, I believe the drink is now becoming the sophistication of drink is becoming very simple and by the look, but very complex from inside. So that's what I really wanted to do. Like I wanted to do, like, we don't focus on how we're going to serve this drink and spend like 3 weeks on developing a vessel for the drink, and then a name for the drink, and suddenly we run out of time, like, and what is inside the drink? Just let's put something quickly together. So I wanted to do like focusing so much on the drink. Like there were drinks we were working on every single day because it wasn't as I was imagining it. And I said, here's the glass, that's what I want for the drink, and I just want this drink to be perfect.
Now you said we.
Yeah.
Had you already hired or
I was
cherry-picked people that you wanted
So
to join you?
I had a team. I had a core team in my mind. It's like, I like to work with these guys. I like to work with that guy. And I wanted to have a girl in the team as well. So slowly I was approaching people one by one. But most of the drinks I've created for this menu. But the idea was, I have them on a paper. I have them in my mind. But I only started making them when I moved into the bar, because I had no bar at that time. Yes, I was doing experiments. I was fermenting and I had all the equipments at home and clarifying in the kitchen. But over there, I could just prepare the material. But then I was bringing everything in and just tried to playing with here. So I was telling the guys, like, okay, so here is the strawberries. I made a strawberry water. Let's make the drink out of this. And this is the idea I had. And then just was working on this here. So I had everything I had on the paper, just same as the look. And I had the same thing when it was to the drinks. So when we moved in, and then it was like, okay, let's go through. And then I was showing them, okay, so this is the recipe, and this is the idea I have with it. And then when I made it, it's like, okay, it's not exactly as I imagined that, but let's work on it. So we have the core ingredients, we have the core recipe, and then just how we can make it perfect, that exactly when we serve it is like, wow, it's great. And that was where the teams got involved and started fine polishing the drinks. And when they all were ticked, that they were done, so we put them in an order. That's the whole idea of the menu was like, as you read the menu from the top to the bottom, you start with the light, easy drinks, aperitif style drinks, and as you move to the bottom of each page, you find drink much more bold, complex, and full flavor. And that was the whole brief. I didn't want to have anything else that the guys would think about it, apart from just make the drinks perfect. That's all what I want.
Well, how about vintage spirits? Because you have a whole beautiful cabinet of vintage spirits over there.
So that was amazing thing, that when I walked to the room, where is the cabinet? There was a little gap in the wall. So when I've seen that gap, I said, this is amazing. We can build a cabinet here. So I told Murad, I was like, Murad, I have lots of old bottles at home. So I'd like to display them here. So in this corner, we would just build a cabinet in. And he's like, I love that. This is amazing. I love that. I was like, and this was amazing things to work with him. And I told him, and he loved that. They were just like, this is good. I can carry on another idea. I just like go through this. So he created this cabinet, and he said, Erik, this is a big cabinet. You have enough spirit? I was like, don't worry about it. I'll make sure I will fill this up. I have plenty at home. Mm-hmm. So that was another thing. Like I always had this passion for vintage spirits. I remember back from Connaught. I tried to convince the bar manager at that time to buy a Bacardi from 1930s, but the bottle was £2,000. It's like, Erik, who's going to drink that? It's like, I know it's not an everyday drink, but there's always one. There's always someone who walk in and who would drink that. And he didn't really believe into that. And I was a very young bartender, and I'm just like, leave that. But I didn't forget about that. And when I went to Savoy, I had more confidence. I was like, let's do Sazerac. because we found a Sazerac Forge cognac on the market, and I had a Peychaud bitters from 30. So you just get the absinthe. We found the absinthe from 50, so we can recreate the original Sazerac, and that was £5,000. And that time the barman said, Erik, who's going to buy this? I was like, listen, we have all the ingredients.
So the cocktail itself was £5,000?
Yes. So it's like, we have all the ingredients. We don't have to do anything apart from just write it on the menu. And you never know. And there was a night, I sold 3 of them. And then everyone in the hotel was like, what the hell is happening here? It's like, I told you. I didn't tell you it's going to happen tomorrow. I said it will be one day. And here's that day. And then
not one, but 3.
3. And then I was like, yeah, there is always one. And it's a beautiful thing, beautiful historian story to tell to the guests. So it's like, so this is an interesting thing about the bar, that you can come here and you can have drinks which are very old and rare, or you can have drinks which are very new and unique and using all that modern techniques and flavors that you can find. So that's a kind of our core offer that we can do here, that you can have experience that if you want to focus on something new and fresh and new bright ideas, you can get that. Or if you want to try Negroni from 1950s, you can have that.
Well, it hasn't even been a year yet since you've been here. So this is a tough question. But you seem to have conquered all your goals. What do you see for yourself maybe in the future? And you don't have to answer that if you don't want.
I have. For me, the future is just like work with an amazing team. I think for me, is the most important thing is a team, because without them, this bar has just walls and ceiling, and that's it. But the team is the one who I really admire and be a part of this amazing journey, because everyone who works here has been here since day one, and nobody left since we opened. Unfortunately, only one, Junpei, the Japanese guy, who had to leave because of his visa. But he told me if his visa wouldn't expire, he would be still here. So, and that makes this place so unique, that the people are here. And my main goal was here, I want to create a place where people come here and they come here to enjoy their work. They don't come here and they're already upset. They already annoyed by, we don't have a prep station, or we don't have glassware, or we don't have proper tools. I said I want to invest everything into that to make sure that when people will be here, they will love to work here. They will love to enjoy to being here, not just as an employee, but just a part of this. And I think that's my main goal, just to create an amazing space where there is more positivity than negativity.
Could you ever imagine, when you look back at where you started, that this is what you would have achieved? I mean, all that you would have achieved?
Well, the thing was that I'm a kind of guy that whatever I put in my head, I do. I'm gonna go for it until I get it. and with this was pretty much similar. Like, I'm gonna go for it until I open my bar. But obviously, this bar has so much amazing things that I wasn't thinking that it can be so cool that people really coming here and just like, we love this, we love what you're doing here, and we love the inspiration, and we love the team who works here, and everyone just talking about the team, and it's like, this is amazing. And it's something like, it's very nice to see now, even without thinking it's like I desperately want it. It was more like, it's something like I like to have, and I like to imagine that this will be a great bar. I never thinking, I want this to be the world's #1 bar. It's very hard, because 10 out of 10 people, 3 comes here and they says like, I don't like this kind of drink. So for them, it will never be the world's best bar. And but there are people who come here, it's like, we love everything, we love the lights, we love this, we love that. And for me, it was like, it's amazing feeling that people coming in and leaving with a good memories, that this was a great experience. So it's more about to create an experience for people, whether they are work here or whether they're coming to visiting us.
So should we go to the bar and have one of your fabulous cocktails?
Let's do that.
All right, great. How can I thank Erik enough for sitting down with me twice? And I can't wait to see what he'll achieve in the next 10 years. Until then, let's hunker down with another quaint classic and our cocktail of the week. Does anyone remember El Morocco? New York's legendary nightclub on East 54th Street. Sipping our cocktail of the week, the Hacienda, at Kwant, makes me feel as if I've been transported right back to the 1950s when El Morocco was in full swing. Sitting there, you feel as if the modern-day Gershwin or Cole Porter or Clark Gable are sitting right next to you. And by shaking this cocktail at home, you'll bring all that glamour right into your living room. Start by adding all the following ingredients to a shaker. 30 ml of Patron Tequila Silver, 10 ml of Cochi Rosa, 15 ml of lacto-fermented purple carrot, 10 ml of Fino Sherry Tio Pepe, 10 ml of Vida Mezcal, 15 ml of agave nectar, and 30 ml of lime juice. Shake with ice and strain into a cocktail glass with one big ice cube. Then garnish with Mexican marigold. You'll find this recipe, more tequila recipes, and all the cocktails of the week at alushlifemanual.com, where you'll also find all the ingredients in our shop. I never actually visited El Morocco, being way too young for that privilege. But I hope to live my life as one man described its gang of frolickers. They are true martyrs to magnums. If you live like that, or for Lush Life, would you consider supporting us by buying us a coffee? Just go to buymeacoffee.com/lushlife, and you can donate once or monthly to make sure we are still here every Tuesday. Theme music for Lush Life is by Steven Shapiro and used with permission. And Lush Life is always and will be forever produced by Evo Terra and Simpler Media Productions. Which leaves me to say the wise words of Oscar Wilde, all things in moderation, including moderation. And always drink responsibly. Okay, the second part was mine. So, next time on Lush Life, we visit Paris, to meet with one of the most successful food bloggers of all time, who this week welcomes in his first book on drinking. Ooh la la! Until that time, bottoms up.